Lisa.
and Justin.
Just.
Yeah, he's moved. Got a little further to go.
Give it a few minutes.
We've got a quorum, so he can catch up if he gets here.
Okay. Your door, did you?
You got 2 minutes.
Go by that clock.
So,
Okay. It's behind that. Batteries getting weak. Possibility. We're just waiting on the clock, Brian.
All right.
It's the one on the wall, so we figured we better.
Yeah, the angle here looks a little different.
Yeah. Well, I got quiet.
I will wait. Taylor got nominated for a full term, so he was sworn in a little earlier today. So he was filling in for Philip, so he has committed to a term. So
Who did what?
Mr. Taylor did,
All right.
committed to a full term. We thank him for that.
Absolutely. Good to have you aboard for a good while now. It is 6 p.m. on Tuesday, August 19th. We'll now call the planning commission to order at this time. The opening business, everyone should have received the packet and the email with the agenda and meeting minutes and all. Do we have an approval, a motion to approve the agenda for tonight?
So move.
Have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The agenda is approved for tonight's meeting. In your packet, you should have received the meeting minutes for June 17th. Everyone should have had an opportunity to look over those. Any amendments need to be made or any questions or anything? If not, do we have a motion to approve the June 17th meeting minutes as presented? Have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Meeting minutes for June 17th, 25 are approved.
It's on the agenda, but there's no one here, so.
Mr. Jones, you look, make sure that we're not overlooking someone that's signed up and sitting there. All right. So, there is no public comment tonight, thank you, sir. Moves us right along into old business, Article 5, Section 511, Special Use Permit Language Revision. And we'll have staff lead us through this.
All right, Planning Commission, if you will recall in June, it was in your meeting minutes, that Deer Creek we had some representation from Deer Creek asking us the Planning Commission to help address their zoning issues. And with that meant the interior lot line issues. So the Planning Commission had recommended to staff to contact the attorney to help draw up some language. In the last Board of Supervisors meeting, just last week, the Board of Supervisors has proposed and issued the Planning Commission a resolution to amend Section 5-11 of the Grayson County Zoning Ordinance. It's also in your board packet. I waited until I could get the approved resolution in there so that you could see who was here and how that vote went. It was 3-0. We did have Mr. Cornett and Mr. Anderson were absent both, but it was a 3-0 vote. So they were able to see Exhibit A, which our attorney had drew up and had presented to me to do some work on. So my job was to create the language that we wanted to have issued in 5-11-3. And that would help modify the setback standards, including the interior lot line setbacks. Additionally, there was some other information that the attorney wanted to advise in special use permits, which would help the Planning Commission and the Board of Supervisors to enact special use permits. So all it was basically taking the Code of Virginia language for special use permits and entering it into our text, which we all, when we do our special use permits, we're always looking, is it a good purpose and intent of the zone district? Does it match and does it complement the comprehensive plan? Does it impact traffic and roads? And all of those A through I are in the article of the Code of Virginia. And so he wanted that addressed specifically in the ordinance. So 5-11-3 is what I was told that I needed to put together. And so I wrote in here that in acting upon an application for a special use permit, the Board of Supervisors may provide for modifications to required setback standards, including interior lot line setbacks, if the modification is consistent with the intent of the ordinance and in harmony with the zoning regulations. Such modifications may be approved if the board finds that A, the reduced setback is necessary and desirable based on specific circumstances, the project and the modification will create an undue adverse impact on the surrounding properties, neighborhood character, and overall setback and density standards. The board may also approve such modifications by separate resolution, subject to the same findings. So those were the elements that I added. But additionally, I wanted the Planning Commission to take a look at in your board packet. There were some information that would allow you to have other conditions that maybe you might want to consider. And so I put together a few common situations where smaller setbacks could be permitted. And that would be topographic or physical constraints based on shape, slope, and natural features. It could be compatibility with surrounding development, which was mentioned in here. It could be historic preservation of infill development, which we really don't have infill development here. That's more of an urban type of situation. It could be public benefit or essential services, the use of services that community needs, like utilities, schools, emergency services. Reduced setbacks are necessary for functional placement. It could be minimizing environmental impact. Adjustments and setbacks can protect natural resources better than strict compliance. It could be as simple as just reducing the disturbance near a wetland or a tree line. Mitigation measures could be proposed. The applicant can propose screening, buffering, and other design elements that would offset the potential setbacks. It could relate to lot sizes and shapes. And it can also be no detriment to adjoining properties. So I say that to say this. What we have in the resolution kind of models some of that. And I would say that if there's something that came up in a special use permit, we might be able to take some of this language and add that as a condition to their special use permit, getting board's approval and not having to modify all of the factors into the regulations, because every situation is going to be different and we may not have the language then in it at that time. So keeping it simple in my mind would be better than not. Does anyone have any questions regarding the language that was added? Or is proposed, I should say.
That is 511.3, right?
511.3 is for what Deer Creek had asked us to do, which was to allow them to modify their special use permit, and this will help drive that. Where the not set, it's a text amendment that they requested, and that is allowed inside of our ordinance. Anyone can come before the planning commission and request, or the board of supervisors and request a text amendment, and so they did. And this will help not only them, but in other factors, in other special use permits, if it ever came up.
Right. Would it be beneficial if what you presented us with the common situations where smaller setbacks may be permitted, if we put that under 511.3, such modifications may be approved if the board finds that these items are, play a part. That way there's no question asked on what are we looking at, who's determining what. It is what it is. Does that make sense to everybody? I mean, that way you're not it's the same for everybody. And it takes, well, let's look at it this way, or let's look at it that way. No, this is the standards we're following. And I mean, it covers everything, all the possibilities. So why not? My thoughts are, why not just list it? If the board finds any of these things, then the setbacks can be adjusted.
So list them out as,
I mean, what's y'all's thoughts?
or, you could just do or, topographic or physical constraints, compatibility with surrounding development, and you're just saying those 8. And
Right.
I can ask the attorney if that would be sufficient, that planning commission has addressed these additional elements, and I don't think the board will have any issues with that,
No.
because you're basically trying to cover all of it.
Right. Now that is if the commission wants to. Now it's a commission's decision, but me looking at it, I could see that being beneficial. That way anyone that pulls it up will know this is what they're looking at. The setback may be adjusted if these determinations are found. But what's y'all's thoughts?
That's coming down to the ordinance that they read.
It's modifications to our ordinance, but to include those setback
Right.
modifications if the board of if the planning commission finds that they are satisfactory, and they recommend that to the Board of Supervisors.
So we're talking about just adding what you read.
Basically,
Right.
yeah, you're adding this, which the board has already seen.
Yeah.
But what I was reading was that common,
Situation.
yeah, common
or smaller
situations for
setbacks
So we're talking about adding those to what the supervisor.
what the supervisors has already looked at.
Sounds good to me.
That way the standards are set, here they are, and then there's no question. That's just my thoughts.
Well, you're not getting any argument.
Well, no, but it's ultimately the commission's decision, so what we want to approve to send to the Board of Supervisors. So I just threw a thought out that struck me, that to me, it leaves a little bit of question if those things are not added. But it sets a standard for, this is what we look at.
I move we add Jada's comments to the supervisors
To
changes.
511.
Yes.
Okay, we have a motion to add, to include the common situations where smaller setbacks may be permitted to 511-3.
That's my motion.
Okay, well put. So do we have a second?
Second.
Have a second. You need a roll call vote?
No.
All in favor, let me know by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, let me know by saying aye. No opposal. So you can add that in there to send for their approval, right?
All right, so I guess now, if that's the case, do I need to, we have to hold a public hearing, so, for this information. Do you want me to resubmit it to you for review before holding public hearing, or do it all at the same time for next month?
Do it all. Do it all.
Okay.
That's what I'm
So
saying.
it'll be in your board packet with those amendments, you can look at it, but we will have to hold public hearing before I can send the recommendation to the board supervisors.
Why does that require a public hearing?
Because you're modifying and changing the zoning or subdivision ordinance.
Okay.
Zoning ordinance, sorry. I've been working on subdivision ordinance. All right, so.
The supervisors still have to approve the Deer Creek situation.
Yes, so we will have to get that modified and updated in the ordinance, and then we will come back here to the hold another special use permit, hold another public hearing, make a recommendation. And I told them it would be a long, drawn-out process. All right, so this will happen in the September meeting. All right.
Good. All right, is there any other questions on the 511, Article 5, Section 511, special use permit language revision? All right, moves us right along into new business with staff update.
So I wanted to bring to your attention the, something that kind of was dropped in my lap, last week, I believe. I didn't realize typically when I go to zoning conference in September, I typically get legislative updates. And I had looked at them, but I apparently didn't look at them hard enough. So when Justin called me last week, he asked, hey, did you know that this had happened with the subdivision? That the planning commission no longer has the authority to review subdivision plats And I said, no, I did not. And so I wanted to bring to your attention that we're gonna have to modify or change the subdivision ordinance to allow for some additional definitions and to change that the planning commission no longer will be reviewing any kind of site plans, subdivisions, nor will the governing body. So that means the Board of Supervisors. So in March of 24 this year, the General Assembly passed in Chapter 594 several items, and basically it was to push development through faster. So they've added the term designated agent, and that I kind of jumped out of line because I wanted to add, but I'll go back to it. Designated agent, which means an employed or authorized by the local and designated body of the government body, designated by the governing body to review and act on subdivision plats, site plans, and plans of development. Designated agent does not include the local planning commission. However, the local planning commission may serve as a designated agent of any locality with a population of 5,000 or less. So I've been working through the subdivision ordinance for the last little bit, just kind of going through, seeing what needs to be struck, taking out governing body, taking out administrative agent, and adding designated agent in those areas. I will take all this information with a resolution before it's vetted to the Board of Supervisors next month. So what we'll have to do is get him to vet all of the subdivision language that's to be changed. We'll have to hold public hearing, make a recommendation to add it back or send it back up to the Board of Supervisors, and then adopt it. So I sent you all of Chapter 594, which includes all of the amended and reacted chapters of the code. It's 15.2 is for cities and counties, if anybody wants to get in there and read it. It's 2201, 2241, 2245, 2254, 2258, 59, 60, 61, 69, 70, and 71, and 2307. Just for the record. Does anybody have any questions about why they did it? I'm not really sure either, other than just basically it's to push development through faster, because otherwise the subdivision has to be reviewed by the planning commission, and then it has to go to the Board of Supervisors. So I think the process, or the thought process was, in my mind, was, well, the reviewing agent basically recommends to the planning commission either you approve it or deny it. So that would be me. At this point, unless the Board of Supervisors wants to change the designated agent. But the way our it's called administrative agent or subdivision agent now. So now it's considered designated agent by the code. So they'll either have to make that decision how they want that wrote, as who the designated agent is. Sorry they took that authority away from you. Any questions on that?
In other words, if somebody wants to do a subdivision, they gotta come to you as a designated
Designated
then you
agent.
bring it back to us?
You all don't review them at all. They just took those duties away from the planning commission and the governing body. They no longer have authority to review and approve. It falls back to the designated agent.
So the supervisors don't have to approve either.
It all falls on you?
Yes, sir. Or the designated agent, which I assume it probably will be me. which is a little unnerving.
So
Typically, I like to see somebody's eyeballs besides mine on it.
is there anywhere the planning commission gets into that situation now?
I have one question for the attorney, which I've yet to talk to him about, is does the planning commission, could the planning commission just, I don't think we can, but, you know, review it as a, not preliminary, but just as a body that if agent had questions to the planning commission, could they discuss it?
Precautionary.
Yeah. But I'm not sure that.
So as it exists now with the new language, we don't have anything to do with subdivisions.
No, it's,
You
it's
guys
to
are
me,
right.
that's a little concerning, but,
Who sets the guidelines?
well, our subdivision sets our guidelines for, our subdivision ordinance sets the guidelines,
Which we still review.
which you would, you know, if there are situations where I see, hey, I think the planning commission needs to, maybe make some changes to the subdivision ordinance, you would still have authority to do that. So any changes that get made have to come before the planning commission. It can't just be adopted because Jada said so, or the board of supervisors said so. It has to go through the proper adoption processes.
Just the plat itself.
The
And
plats
the
and the
development request, if you will. So you will be the designated agent.
So you take the request, look at the subdivision ordinance, make a decision.
make a decision.
I can
So,
go with that.
thanks, Stan.
Uh,
I have taken the ordinance and created a checklist as a precautionary for me to go through the checklist so that I don't forget something.
Versus appeal, who do they appeal to?
If there's a bill,
No.
an appeal, good question. Who do you appeal
Where
to?
do they go?
BCA.
So it comes to us, we say, didn't have anything to do with that.
Right.
And it could be the Board of Zoning Appeals or the governing body, and I haven't dove into the legislative, information yet. I do know the other thing that they changed was the time frame for review. It went from 60 days to 40 days. And if it gets returned from me to them, to the developer, and they resubmit, you have 30 days.
Okay, real
And then
estate.
if you fall within that 30 days, 31 days, it's automatically approved.
I bet real estate developers had something to do with this.
When are you going on vacation? I didn't put it on through.
Yeah.
I don't think-
Yeah, I
see
just
y'all
listened to
be-
a place on Mark this morning. I'm trying to take it off the market. When you pay you a cruise, Jay?
For 60 days?
You want?
No, it's 30 days is to come back and for a resubmittal.
Now what is it that's changed from 7 to 5 days?
Okay, I'm sorry, I jumped the gun on the legislative update, for 15.2-2204. That has a lot to do with just advertisements. So there was this whole debacle last, General Assembly, legislative meeting where they changed all of our advertisement processes. And it affected the way that we advertise in a small community. So we couldn't really advertise properly because they made it so that we didn't have the ability to advertise in our little declaration of the Gazette because they only advertise once or twice a week. So with the way they did it, it was really making it very hard on us to get advertisements out. We made it through it, but they went back and revised it. So now we have from 7 days before the second meeting, they bumped it to 5 days before the second meeting to allow the additional advertisements to be placed in our local newspapers. They've also changed some regulations where it will allow us to advertise electronically now. So we can actually advertise electronically for those newspapers that come out electronically. I can't think of what it's called, but they actually reached out last week or the week before and was saying, hey, we now have the ability to advertise for Grayson County in their electronic newspaper. And Mr. Boyer did send it to me for consideration, but it's got no further than my desk. I do want to make sure that they're legal before we start advertising in it. But the other way, we also advertise not only in the paper, we advertise on for public hearings, we also advertise on our Facebook page and our county webpage, in addition to the newspaper. That's the only change on that.
Fun with subdivision plans.
Matter of fact, I had one for the agenda tonight, and I realized that the subdivision no longer needed to come before you all. And so I told the surveyor to take the planning commission box off and the board of supervisor box off, and I got my official determination from VDOT and from the Virginia Department of Health, and once they sign it, they bring it to me, I'll sign it for recording. So it definitely moves things. I wish that I would have known it sooner, and I could have helped this particular person out because they're waiting to make closing on all of this, and it definitely holds up the time for closings.
You're a powerful woman.
I don't know about that now.
You getting a pay raise?
No, it is a little concerning though. But I did, like I said, I did create a checklist, and
They gave her a raise and lifted her chair up a little.
I noticed when she came in, she knocked her chair out.
I lowered it, thank you. That was all that I have. Just know that I'll come back to you with a recommendation or a resolution from the board of supervisors to make those changes to the subdivision ordinance. Probably won't be in September, more like October. Because it does, although the law itself does take precedence over ours, I do need to get it changed in our ordinance.
We have to have a public hearing. Do you expect any public to show up?
I doubt it. I'm not sure what you could possibly do about it because it's legislation and it trumps local.
Did you cover the performance guarantees and releases? That's what
Did I? That's the bond issue, isn't it? Oh, there's the other thing that was in there. I'm not even sure I picked it up. Board packet. Got the bonds.
Oh,
Sorry, I didn't print it out and I can't get my computer on. Brad, I'm gonna need you to look at it.
That's fine.
We went from 60 days to 40 days. We discussed that, and resubmit corrected plans from 30 days. And after 30 days, it jumps to you're deemed approved. Performance grantees and releases, section 15.2, 2245 outlines that the designated agent has 10 working days to act on the request of partial or final release of performance grants, such as bonds and escrows. If no action is taken, the release is deemed approved. There's also a detailed process for court enforcement and fee recovery if the local agency fails to act without good cause. So that's additional information that will also have to go in because it is not in our subdivision now. Thank you for highlighting that.
So that would still fall under the 15.2.2245.
Right.
How many single wides can we get on 100 acres?
How many single wides can we get on 100 acres? I have no idea.
I mean, three-quarter lot,
We'll have to talk to the health department about that. And the building official, because there's setbacks between single wides and homes. I think there's like 20 feet between, just for FIFO related information.
File for amendment on setbacks. Just rather improve that.
Just,
That's right.
hey, that campground's really growing. They've had to put a turn lane in there. Okay, no.
Does the commission have any other questions? Serious questions for me?
You go back to the store more than start there.
A few years ago, a guy built a real nice home across the road from my farm. And there's a big, long field, going down to the old Baywood store. And I happened to be talking to him, and he said, "You own the farm?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "Well, what you gonna do with that farm?" And I knew his situation. I said, "Well, that big field runs down the store, I'm gonna put a mobile park in there." And he just moved from a place where there was a mobile park. His eyes got about that big.
Well, that is all that I have. The planning commission's right.
I read through all this stuff.
Next month, I will be advertising, unless told otherwise, for the White Top Cell Tower. And then I will also bring back an advertisement for the Deer Creek. So we'll have 2 public hearings, as long as the White Top Cell Tower is still on the table.
Is it just this one woman, or is it a lot of people?
We have a lot of people that are very concerned about the area, that we need to just address their concerns. So we will, if they come, then we'll address those when the time comes. I do know that Mr. Boyer, Mr. Rebels will be here to speak on the White Top Cell Tower in U.S. Cellular's behalf. And we will address those, if any concerns that our citizens have.
So
At that
these
time,
people would rather have a view than an operable cell phone.
I don't know the answers to those questions right now. I've not actually heard any or had anyone state any of those facts to me. I do know that there's a website, if the planning commission wants to go and look that up, that there's a Friends of White Top community. I do believe there's a website that I can send you all if you want to look at that particular website.
No.
I don't know of any other details other than that.
It sounds like the Baywood cell tower issue. That was a real Donnybrook. And now that it's there and operating, nobody even knows it's there anymore. And we've got cell phone use. And nobody's been fried.
Does the planning commission have any other questions?
I make a motion, adjourn.
Thank you, Charlie. Is anyone?
I'll second it. All in favor of adjourning at this time? Let it be known by aye. Any opposed? Thanks everyone for coming and all the work you do. We are now adjourned.